Good afternoon and welcome to Tales of a Survivor, a talk show that highlights individuals that have overcome abuse and the steps that they've taken to get their life back. The purpose of this show is not only to bring awareness but also to inspire those that are living in abuse in silence. We hope that you can mirror yourself in some of the stories that will be shared and find yourself worthy of more, wanting more for yourself. Today we have a past guest with us, Elizabeth Rosario, and also Emma Rosario Ramos, my motivator that I listen to every Monday for those of you that follow me. She's E2K, Emma E2K. Hi, Emma, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
We are going to discuss, as you guys remember, Anna, the last episode that we aired, and how complex this episode was and how hard it was. For you guys out there, I want to tell you that she is taking, I know you asked me of that before. She is taking counseling. Yes, she is taking counseling. She's doing much better, and she is in the search for her daughter. Well, Elizabeth, thank you for coming. Emma, thank you so much. We're going to talk two things. Let me tell you a little bit about Emma. Emma is an advocate for domestic violence. So me and Emma, we're going to speak about what she went through, the abuse that she went with the partners that she had. And with our licensed social worker, the professional, we're going to speak about all the internal traumas that she was encountering within herself, her dark time. So let me start with you. When she says that at 7 years old, she wanted to commit suicide. Now, and also she was born from a mother and a father that was addicted to heroin. Tell me, where do you see that everything started?
One of the things that you mentioned, that was mentioned in her story, was that she attempted to commit suicide at the age of 7, right? But that stemmed from the fact that her sibling was being toilet trained, and she couldn't intervene when they were being, I guess what she felt, they were being abused. And I know the first time that I joined you and your show, we talked about some of the attachment that takes place in the early beginning of our years, how we become attached to our caretakers, right, which is our parents. And if that process is unhealthy, so many things could happen. So it seems like with her, since her parents were not available to her, she became this caretaker to her siblings. That was her form of attachment through her sibling and the caretaking. And for her not being able to intervene when the siblings were being abused, it's like, how do I now control this? She lost sense of control, as it also being broken down her attachment to the children. So she's looking for a way out. And it seemed like her form of being out of that situation that she couldn't control was to try to commit suicide. At the age of 7, she was already put in a situation where she was a caretaker for a 7-year-old. That's a big role to take on, that responsibility, and then to actually not be able to carry it through, because she wasn't able to protect her siblings. So it's like, how do I now manage these?
But it is a big role because
that I can't figure out at the age of 7. What do I do with this?
Now let me ask you something. The fact that she was born to an addicted mother to heroin and a father born to her, but doesn't that make her a child born addicted to heroin as well?
Well, definitely there's research says that when a child is born of addict parents, there's definitely a lot of different difficulties that could take place. Developmental delays, there could be mental retardation, there could be the child could suffer from ADHD. There's so many diagnoses that could come in place. But all those possibilities are unknown. That wasn't told in her story. So I really can enlighten and talk to, and attest to that.
Okay, because it's not a fact.
Those are all possibilities. It doesn't
not
necessarily
proven.
mean that that's the case with her, and that's the reason why she reacted in that way to jump, commit suicide by jumping out the window. I'm looking at it as a low into her not being able to control the situation that she was given. This is your role. You're the caretaker. You protect, and you go into this protecting mode. And she couldn't protect her siblings at that moment, so that's how she reacted.
Okay, so it was more like having control of the situation and not having control, and that's why they say that she was a trouble child, that she was acting out because it was all about. It wasn't a tantrum, as she said herself. It was more like, hey, I've been taking care of my siblings since I was 5, when mommy was going and leaving us alone. So now, okay, I understand what you're
So
saying.
that was like how she reacted to the situation at hand. So when we have situation at hand, we all react, right?
Hmm.
we and so everyone's gonna react in a different way. So for her, at the age of 7, it says, "What? How do I handle this situation?" She wasn't able to handle it at the age of 7. So this adult, so her way of managing what she was going through at the moment was jumping out the window.
But now let me ask you something now. As we heard in the story, she became, then she met the first partner that she had was abusive to her, and then she went, who commits suicide. Now it goes to a second one that also abused her and was raping her daughter as well, and then she became an abuser. What can you tell me about this pattern? Does it have to do with the fact that the mother was abusive to them? Was it because of, I mean, elaborate for that for me if you can.
There's definitely truth to um, many who are in domestic violence relationships as adults have some form of abuse in their childhood. There's definitely a way of kind of like capturing what happened in the childhood. There's some kind of form of abuse, sexual abuse, um, or just violent abuse in the home. And so what happens is it's kind of like what you learn, what you're accustomed to being treated in that form, and you become kind of attracted to those kind of
Yeah.
relationships. There's this abusive kind of um, attraction that you find. So how do you break the pattern is by counseling and having the person really identify that that's what's taking place, because you're really not even aware that that's coming from your childhood. It's just kind of just like it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
Yeah, it was repeat. And now that we're talking about the domestic violence, this is your forte. She's been doing this for many years, over 20 years, right?
Yeah,
So I want
definitely.
you to tell me, in your experience, and in this show in particular, tell me your point of views as a advocate for women in domestic violence.
As far as Anna's
Anna's, yeah. And then
story,
we're gonna go in general, but as of
right?
right now for Anna.
So okay, so as far as Anna's story, you know, she was born, from drug parents. That right there is a form of domestic violence already, for the parents not being responsible enough to take care of themselves. The mother take care of herself while she was, with child, because when you're in the womb, you're taking on everything that the mother is providing for you. So whether it be drugs, whether it be her moods and however have you, so the child already is born into that. So now she's born, she's going through all these transitions where she's being pushed here, there. She doesn't have a moment to really feel love or nurtured. So when you don't feel that, you're automatically, even as a child, you automatically will do it for yourself. And it'll come in the form of, a habit. You could be your leg, or you could grow twitch or something, or have a blanket, or,
Like a
something.
security blanket kind of
Yes,
thing.
something of safety that brings you that what you're not getting
The comfort.
from your parents already. And then being put in the position to care for others, her siblings at that age, like
That's
she was
awful.
saying, that, that attachment, now you have this attachment, now they are loving you and looking onto you, so now you feel a sense of importance because, your mother didn't give you that, you didn't get that from, you're not getting that from anybody older. So if you're getting it from them now, you feel a sense of I'm the protector. And when you can't protect, it's like almost like, wow, what do I do? Like
Because you don't know any other thing. I mean,
you
since
don't
she was
know
little, she's
you don't
been
know
taking
nothing
care of the
but to
kids.
protect them, and that's like an instinct because nobody told her necessarily take care of your siblings. It automatically when she was put in a closet and when she was be able to let out, that's what she automatically went to do. You know why? Because she felt already that emptiness, and she kind of was trying to have avoid that they feel that her brother, her siblings.
She was feeling her.
Protecting mode, yeah.
Protect. It goes back to that
I think she was feeling her
emotional.
own void by giving it to somebody.
Yes.
Because sometimes
That
when
emotional.
we missing out something, we tend to give.
Yes.
Because we're trying to fill our own void by giving.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think the pressure, they say pressure bust pipes, and she got into the point where it was like, do or die. If I can't do that, I don't want to live. Does she really have that concept of that is suicide?
That's what I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so. My opinion, I don't think that she really has the concept of saying I'm going to commit suicide, but her mind is just like not there. And you know how they say when you can be at a moment and just snap. I think she snapped at that point, and she looked. The window was there. She threw herself out. I don't think she had time to be like, I'm gonna commit suicide. Oh, this is what I want to do.
was a
At
reaction.
7,
No,
it was
an
a-
impulsive reaction.
Right. I think it was more of an impulsive reaction
As
than
I
suicide.
told her in the show, I think she just wanted out.
Yeah.
That she just wanted out. She couldn't control anymore. Her sibling, her sister, when she was getting by the train, getting hit by the foster mother, and she couldn't protect her, so she was just
Yeah.
wanted
It's like
out.
what can be worse?
Yes.
When you're a victim, you always be like, what can be worse than this? Like
You lost your parents already.
You're ready to take on whatever. Like you're not afraid of nothing. Like what can be worse than what I'm going through now? I throw myself out the window. Listen, I don't gotta feel this no more. And it was more of an impulse, I would say, than at 7 her really sitting down and saying
that is
And
suicide.
that is
processing.
suicide. Yeah.
Yeah, but why the window? But
I guess it was there at that moment.
When
She
it's
was there.
impulsive, you don't think, you just react.
You just
react
react.
to the situation. Yeah.
I think if she would have been next to a river, she would have threw herself, in a river or whatever. It's just at that moment where she,
that's
lost
what
that control.
she felt, and that's what was near her. Now, she became, and sorry, I'm gonna go to you, Emma. Now, when she was abused, she adapted to it, and she was going through it. Then she became an abuser, when now she found someone that was treating her as to what she was not used to.
Right. So that's common. That's common to be a victim and then switch, do a certain switch when when they take you out of that comfort zone of being abused. Like once you're abused for a certain period of time, you kind of adapt to this is the way things are. And so with change, like anybody, there comes you're used to, okay, he's gonna hit me, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna hit less. The black eye, I already could time it in 2 weeks, it's gonna be gone. So you kind of live your life like kind of setting those things for yourself. And then when those things are not in place, it's almost like you're lost. Like,
You're out of your comfort zone, or what
yeah,
you know
like
as your comfort zone.
right, like okay, so I just said something slick and he didn't swing. All right, hold on a second. Let me think of what I can possibly say now I want to test him to see. And then everything from whatever was done to you, you want to that it now reflects to whoever, you know what I'm saying? They say the closest people to you are always the ones that feel your pain. And so a good partner comes into someone's life, a woman that's been abused. That's the hardest position to be in because you're on the receiving end of everything. If she hasn't dealt with her situation, if she's not conscious even of what's going on, she's just gonna use you in the sense of an emotional punching bag, which is not healthy for
For
the
no
man
relationship at all.
or the woman at that point. It's not healthy for either one because you have to get therapy. You have to get help. You have to speak. You have to own to it. You have to take accountability. there's some things it just happens to you and you got okay, but then after a while you are responsible at a certain a point.
Yes.
Like when you're
absolutely.
conscious of it, they say
Absolutely.
when you know better, you do better. So when you
Yes.
start learning that, wait a minute, this is not right, this is not normal, what's going on. Now you made yourself responsible, and you can't take that on somebody else. That's baggage, that's unhealthy. You have to do something about that. A lot of the women feel like, well, they did it to me, I'm going to do it back. Wrong attitude.
Very much.
Wrong
Because
attitude.
two wrongs don't make it right.
Yeah.
at
Wrong
all.
attitude because you're not healed. And that would stay with you for it will come out in moments that you will be like, what I just did. Because if you don't deal with, knowing and recognizing I am a victim, and listen, along the line, anything could have occurred for you to be that victim. Being a victim doesn't necessarily mean that you're weak. It's just, the aggressor could have been just preying on that, seeing your weakness. Where you weak at. Oh, you're not good at that. Or you don't feel pretty.
So they're gonna target that. They're gonna see your weakness and target.
And they're gonna attack on it. And then
Yes.
once you do that long enough, where you telling somebody that already doesn't feel pretty, you constantly telling them you ugly, fat, this and that, whatever, they take that in. Even if they do in a jokey matter, like you gotta really listen. Because some women will be like, he says I'm fat, and he says I'm ugly, but whatever. No, that it's not acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable.
There's a phrase that says something. A lot of true things are told in a joking manner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drunk or in a joking manner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what.
A lot of
and
truth. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of truth come out because sometimes you want to say it, but you don't want to hurt the person, so you throw it as a joke.
Right.
But you really meaning it, and
It's a safer way to say what
to
you want to
deliver it,
say.
yes.
Yeah, to deliver
What
what
they
you want
will
to
say.
say.
And
because that
listen to
way
Yeah.
you could react to.
Yeah.
If you see the reaction of the person, you can say, "Oh no, I was just joking."
Right. It's just jokes. But
Yeah.
you do that one time, it's jokes, okay, you get it, okay, maybe you was joking. But the 10th and 20th and
No, it's
30th
not.
time that's joke, it's been told, it's not funny no more because now it's resonating with the woman that already doesn't feel value. So all you're doing is just bring her more, her self-esteem is just going low and low and low till it plummets all the way down. And when she's there, it's hard to bring her back up. If it's somebody trying to swim out of the water and somebody's putting their head there, it's hard for you to,
Yeah.
because that person is still there.
Yeah, and we've
Until that
been
person
there.
is not removed, that you can be able to actually take breath. Like, again, going back to the concept, when you know better, you do better. And once you learn, you have to. It's just so key and important. I talk to women all the time. I mean, as an advocate, and it's so common. It's so common. It's crazy how common it is.
It is, and when you was here the last time, we was talking about how to recognize a narcissist. Remember?
Some of the warning signs, yeah, we did review some of the warning signs, and definitely it's kind of worth going over them again.
Yes, I think it is at this point. That's why I bring it up.
One
to
of the
you.
things we talked about and how we kind of put it all together is if it feels good, if it feels so good to be true, is because it is. Because that's the guy who's coming off as being very charming, very attentive. He wants to know each and every move you're making. Kind of, he wants you to be checking in with him.
Because he
Throughout
cares.
the day, it comes off as if, oh my God, he's so caring. He's really into me. And it's just him keeping tabs of you, that's a big sign. And one of the things also, if they give you a cell phone, be careful with that. Because sometimes
they
they
don't
put the
want to buy
GPS
you the
on it.
phone, yeah.
If they're like, oh, let me get your phone, the phones are being put with the GPS where he's kind of tracking every move you're making.
But you know what? And funny that you mentioned that. My ex, he gave me a cell phone. Now, we was dating. He said, "I got you a cell phone for Valentine's," and I'm like, "I have a cell phone." No, I know. Why would you pay a bill? I could just put it on my family plan. And you know what? I said, you know what? That's a good idea.
It sounds like a
nice,
wonderful
right?
idea.
Yeah,
I
with
was
a
like,
phone.
I could
Yeah.
say- But you know what? I could save this bill, I'm a mother. I got at that time I had 3 kids.
And it
in the
sounds so
house.
attentive, right? Or
No, I was
He's
like,
caring about
you
you.
know,
caring about me.
but then after I did the boo boo and it was okay. Now one day he was like, so whose number is this? I'm like, huh? And
It's a form of tracking.
who's that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, it didn't, at the moment it didn't, I was like, oh my God, he's really, you know, since I didn't want any monetary, I didn't want him to help me. And he said, you're so independent, whatever, I want to help you some way. And I'm like, okay, a phone is nice. And it was a better phone than the one that I had.
Of course.
But then I realized, but
That's
he
the
was
attraction.
like, yes. And I was like, oh.
So yeah, the cell phones is a biggie because they have
They
the
go through
GPS
the phone,
and
he will call it too. Who's
and then they
this?
know where you're at constantly, every move you make because it's tracking you. So
And
that's
it's like
one big
we
warning
it's so hard for
sign.
us to be with our phones at this point in time
Yeah.
too. Everybody loves their phones and all that.
Yeah, so that's a big strategy that they use the phones.
When we relocating women, that's the first thing that goes is the cell phones. Like they can't have no cell phones, no electronics. They cannot get online and none of that because you know their abuser could have access to them in that form of fashion. So you know until they don't change their whole identity and stuff, that's one of the things, and that's one of the things it's hard for them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, if you have anything, any of wisdom, and I'm going to a woman, what would be the thing that, if anything they take from today's, what would be the thing that you want them to really take with them and apply it daily?
One of the things that I think is important to share is that you have to recognize that you're actually in an abusive relationship. Sometimes women are in abusive relationships and they have no
No
idea
idea.
that that's what it is, that actually is called abuse. And then abuse comes in so many forms. There's economical abuse.
Yes.
There's, which is the financial abuse, right? There's emotional abuse, there's psychological abuse, and then there's physical abuse, which
The
is,
verbal abuse.
and there's, right, the verbal abuse, which is the ones that are so hard to
sexual.
detect. Sexual abuse is also another form of abuse. You could be in a relationship and there could be sexual abuse.
And you know what? The
It's hard
sexual-
for a woman to determine that is actually sexual abuse until they in front of you in a counseling session and they describe what the day is and they give you the scenario and you tell them that's sexual abuse. They look at you like they don't get it.
Even married, if you tell your partner no, you don't, you could be both butt naked, and you decide at that moment, you know what, no means no.
Out all the time, but you see what it is. In the
So
way I was raised.
once he goes past that, no is no.
The sexual
Yeah.
abuse.
But
That's
for
it.
instance, back before, that was our duty. I mean, I was raised, you know, when you're supposed to please your man whenever he wants to be available, because if you're not, somebody else will.
Somebody else will.
So that's how we didn't know as we were going. We're running out of time, but I want to get to you, Emma. Please, something very quick. What can you tell a woman that is being abused? Maybe something powerful, because I want you, after you do that, I want you to talk about how can people reach you out.
So, you know, one thing that I tell a lot of my women that I come across, friends and otherwise, I tell them that, you know, if look at yourself in the mirror and what do you see? Like, do you see someone beautiful? Do you see an amazing and, you know, a strong, powerful woman? Because if you can't look at yourself in your own mirror, that right there is key. Self-love is very important because self-love means you only validating yourself. You don't need no one else to validate you. So, you know, I'm Emma E2K across the board, E2K Magazine, E2K Worldwide, but you can Google me, soy googleable. Go to Google, Emma E2K, and, you know, find all my business.
Thank you, ladies, for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I wish it was a lot longer because we wanted to go to so many things.
Well, we'll come back.
Listen, she lives in
We'll come back.
Florida.
Listen.
The next time you come, yes, absolutely. Thank you for tuning us in. I hope you learned from these two wonderful ladies. And again, Emma E2K, she is googleable. And for us, if you want to be a guest to our show, if you have any stories that you want to share, And if you're looking to inspire those that are living in abuse, please email me at ggb235@yahoo.com. Please don't forget, what did I say? ggb235@gmail.com. And also the gnmproject.org is our website. Look at us up on Facebook and on Instagram, the GNM Project. Thank you. And now we're going with La Nena in the boxing gym. Have a good one.
Yo, this is La Nena from the GNM Project. Today with your survival tips. A lot of people don't know how to fight. So how do you defend yourself? You defend yourself with your eyes. You watch around, see what's going on. Let's say you don't walk in those dark alleys. I mean, that's common sense. You walk where there's light, where people can see you. Okay? And also, it's always good to have your, if you're by yourself, you're feeling weird, put your keys between your fingers, okay? Just in case you gotta hit somebody and you don't hit too hard, you're gonna hurt them with the keys, okay? Another way of survival tip that I would say, if you don't know how to fight, please, if you don't know how to fight, and somebody gets a little too close to you, grab them in the eye, poke them in. That usually stops and slows them down. Dig as much as you can on it. And like my mom used to say back in the days when I was little, if you can't beat them, fight them. Hey, I'm going to my sister with them. This is stuff with not, like I said, not everybody knows how to fight. Not everybody knows how to sit or duck and use. You know what I'm saying? Use what you got. Use your mind. Use common sense. Use your knees, you got to, okay? You know? And let's say you got heels. If you see something funny, take them heels off and take them off and boom! Use whatever you have to defend yourself, okay? And another thing, I always say, I'd rather hear that person ran down that way than hear that person down right there. So sometimes we gotta avoid situations that make you angry. Anger is one of the worst thing we can go through. Anger, one second of anger will mess your whole life up. You'll be in jail or you get locked up. Sometimes we gotta know when to walk away. All right? And anyway, again, this is La Nena from the GNM Project with today's survival tips. Pay attention, y'all. Sometimes your surroundings is not always good. All right? You sleeping, they watching you. Stay alert. Pay attention. Later, y'all.